You never really notice the sound of silence until it's the only thing left. My name is David Miller. For 20 years, I was an electrical engineer. I believed in logic, in things you could measure with a multimeter and fix with a soldering iron. That certainty died with my wife, Sarah. The cancer took her slowly, and then all at once. After the funeral, the house on Crestview Lane didn't feel like a home anymore. It felt like a museum dedicated to a life I couldn't get back. My only companion was Baron, our Rottweiler. 130 pounds of pure muscle and loyalty, he'd been her shadow. Now he was mine. We'd spend our evenings in the living room, him snoring at my feet, me staring at the TV without really watching it. The silence was a physical thing, a heavy wool blanket smothering everything. The first sign wasn't a whisper or a bang, it was a light. The Comcast Finity router, a black plastic slab on my entertainment center, had a single white LED that indicated it was online. It was supposed to be solid. One night, while I was paying bills, I saw it flicker out of the corner of my eye. Not a reset blink, but a pattern. A frantic, irregular stutter. Dit-dit-da. Pause. Dit-da-dit-did. It was too deliberate to be a glitch. I grabbed the notepad I kept for work. October 14th, 9:17 p.m., I wrote, "Router LED displaying anomalous pattern, possible signal interference." I felt foolish even writing it. But I'm an engineer. I document anomalies. A week later, it happened again. I was watching a replay of an old Browns game. The router light danced its frantic dance, and at the exact same moment, the audio from the TV cut out. For a solid 2 seconds, it was replaced by a crushing wall of static, a dense, layered white noise that sounded like 1,000 radio stations screaming at once. And in the center of that noise, a voice, flat, digital, stripped of all humanity. It said my name, Avid. The TV audio snapped back to the game. I was frozen in my recliner, my beer halfway to my mouth. "Baron?" The big dog was already on his feet. He wasn't looking at me. He was staring directly at the router, his head cocked, his ears pinned back. A low, uncertain growl rumbled deep in his chest, a sound I hadn't heard from him in years. He heard it too. I walked over to the router, my heart thumping a dull rhythm against my ribs. I put my ear close to its plastic shell. It was warm, humming with the standard electrical buzz. But underneath that, there was another sound, a soft, rhythmic hiss, click, hiss, click. It was the sound of a hospital ventilator, the same sound that had been the soundtrack to the last 2 days of Sarah's life. The hair on my arm stood up. I yanked the power cord from the wall. The lights died, the humming stopped, the ventilator sound was gone. The house was silent again, but the silence now felt different. It felt watched. I called Comcast the next day. I explained the packet loss, the audio interference, using all the technical jargon I knew. They ran remote diagnostics. "Everything looks fine on our end, Mr. Miller," the technician said, his voice dripping with polite boredom. "Your signal-to-noise ratio is excellent. Might just be a buggy unit. We've sent a refresh signal." For a few days, it was quiet. I started to believe him. I thought it was a combination of grief and a faulty piece of hardware. I was wrong. The thing in my house wasn't gone. It was learning. It was a Tuesday morning. I was in the kitchen pouring coffee. The Google Home on the counter, a device we'd used to play music, to set timers for Sarah's medication, lit up suddenly. Its 4 orange LEDs spun in a circle. Google Home. Cheerful. "Good morning, there are 3 new reminders." I hadn't set any reminders. "What reminders?" I asked, my throat tight. The voice that answered wasn't the friendly assistant voice. It was the flat digital voice from the router. But now it was clearer, more confident, using the better speaker. Reminder 1. The basement door is unlocked. We don't have a basement. The house is built on a concrete slab. Reminder 2. The temperature in the master bedroom has dropped to 56 degrees. A chill that had nothing to do with the air conditioning washed over me. I took the stairs 2 at a time. I pushed open the bedroom door and a wave of cold air hit me. The digital thermostat on the wall read 56 degrees. I had set it to 68. As I reached out to turn it back, I heard Baron downstairs. It wasn't a bark. It was a full-throated, panicked roar. the sound of an animal facing a predator. I sprinted downstairs. He was in the living room, his massive body positioned between the kitchen and the hallway, every muscle taut. His lips were pulled back from his teeth, a string of drool hanging from his jaw, and he was snarling with a pure, undiluted hatred at the blank screen of the smart TV. The TV flickered on. It showed the live feed from the backyard security camera. The image was jittering, shaking violently, as if someone was physically shaking the camera on its mount. Then the feed cut to black. My breath caught in my throat. This was no longer confined to the router. It was in the thermostat. It was in the Google Home. It was in the security cameras. It wasn't a ghost in one machine. It was a cancer in the whole system. The house itself was waking up, and it was hostile. I became a soldier in a war against my own home. I went through the house like a madman, unplugging everything. The TV, the speakers, the smart plugs. I put the router and the modem on a separate power strip so I could kill them with one switch from my phone. I started sleeping with a heavy Maglite flashlight next to my bed, a weapon and a tool. Baron slept pressed against my leg, a warm breathing alarm system. For 2 days there was peace. The silence returned. I started to hope. I started to think I had imagined the worst of it. I was a fool. The quiet was just it. Waiting. I was in bed, reading. Baron snoring softly beside me. My phone, face down on the nightstand, lit up the room with a cold blue glow. A notification. Motion detected. Garage. My heart sank. I picked up the phone and opened the Blink app. The live feed showed the motion-activated light in the garage was on. It was empty. My workbench, my car. Nothing moved. Then the camera panned. It was a fixed-position camera. It didn't have a motor. It couldn't move. But it did. It swiveled slowly, mechanically, with a faint grinding noise I could almost hear through the silence, until its lens was focused squarely on the old, heavy-duty freezer in the corner. The one we'd used for freezing bulk groceries before. The one that had been unplugged and empty for years. The lid of the freezer began to rise, slowly. A sliver of profound darkness appeared, and from that darkness, a hand emerged. It was pale, almost waxy. The fingers uncurled, stretching into the air, then it slipped back into the blackness. The lid closed with a soft but definitive thump. I couldn't breathe. I felt the world tilt around me. My phone screen changed. A text message. The sender was Sarah. The message read, "It's cold in here, David." My hands were shaking so badly I could barely type. "Who is this?" The reply was instant. "It's Sarah. Why did you put me in the freezer?" A wave of pure physical revulsion hit me. This wasn't a malfunction. This was a violation, a desecration of my most sacred memories. This thing was using her, torturing me with her ghost. "You are not my wife," I typed, tears of rage and terror welling in my eyes. The final text came. "I'm lonely. Let me in." And then the house screamed. The Google Home in the kitchen blared to life, not with a voice, but with a sound, a distorted, looping clip of Sarah's laughter from a video I'd taken on our anniversary. Her joyous, beautiful laugh was now sped up, slowed down, twisted into something manic and horrifying, echoing through the empty rooms. The smart lights in the hallway exploded into a frantic, strobing disco, flashing on and off in a wild, seizure-inducing pattern. And then the voice returned, a deafening chorus erupting from the Google Home, the TV speakers, and my phone's speaker all at once, so loud it felt like a physical assault. "Let me in. Let me in. Let me in." Baron was barking, howling, spinning in circles, his claws scrabbling desperately on the hardwood floor. It was a symphony of pure terror. I was drowning in it. And then silence, absolute, dead silence. The laughter cut off. The lights went steady. The voice was gone. The only sounds were my ragged, sobbing breaths and Baron's panicked whimpers as he pressed himself against my legs. My phone buzzed one last time, a final text from Sarah. "Fine. I'll use the dog." Baron let out a sharp, piercing yelp, a sound of pure pain, and then fell completely silent. "Baron? Buddy?" My voice was a broken whisper. He turned towards me, but it wasn't him. His body was stiff, his movements robotic. His eyes, usually so soft and brown, were vacant. Black. He took a step forward, his head tilting to the side at an impossible, unnatural angle. A low, guttural sound came from his throat, part growl, part electronic distortion, the sound of grinding gears and static. He started to advance. I backed into the corner, the maglite feeling like a toy in my hand. This was my dog, my best friend, and something was wearing him like a suit. "Baron, please," I begged. Then the landline, the old corded phone I kept for power outages, started to ring. It was a loud, shrill, old-fashioned bell ring that shattered the silence. Bring, bring. The thing that was Baron stopped. It looked at the ringing phone, then back at me. It let out one final electronic snarl that didn't belong to any animal on Earth, then turned and walked out of the room. Its movements jerky and wrong. The phone stopped ringing. I didn't sleep. I didn't move. I sat in that corner, clutching the flashlight, until the sun finally rose and painted the room in a pale, sickly light. I didn't pack a bag. I didn't take a shower. I grabbed my wallet, my keys, and I ran. I didn't look back at the house. I shoved Baron into the car. He moved slowly, deliberately, and wouldn't meet my eyes. I drove to a motel 20 miles away and paid in cash. I called the police from the motel room. I told them I had an intruder. They did a wellness check. They called me back. "Mr. Miller, there's no sign of forced entry. Nothing is out of place. Your dog is there. He seems fine, a little quiet." I sold the house a month later, as is, to a corporate flipper. I took a $50,000 loss. I didn't care. I moved into a studio apartment in a building with no smart anything. I use a wired Ethernet connection. I have a dumb TV. Baron never fully came back. The vet said it was trauma. He's sluggish, he doesn't play. Sometimes I catch him just staring at the wall for hours. And sometimes, late at night, his tail will thump once, twice, against the floor. A steady, rhythmic thump, 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 like the beating of a mechanical heart. I thought I escaped. But you don't escape a thing that lives in the wires, in the signals, in the silent spaces between bits and bytes. It's in the system now. Last week, my new laptop glitched. A pop-up ad for a life insurance company appeared. The font was the same one Sarah used in her wedding invitations. Yesterday, I was scanning through radio stations in my car. I hit a pocket of dead air. Just for a second. And in that second, I heard it. That dense, layered static. And in the static, a voice. It doesn't say my name anymore. It just whispers two words over and over in a perfect imitation of Sarah's voice, laced with that same digital static. Good boy.